Hello, Steeler Nation. It's your host, Steeler Nation, Stryker, host of Stryker's Inside Slant. Tonight, we got the best news we could possibly get. Kenny Pickett turns out not to be as injured as we feared. Looking at it at real time, I was fearing it was an MCL injury. Fortunately, it is not as serious. They're calling it a bone bruise. Might be out a couple weeks. He's going to try to play as well this week. So we'll see what happens. Same thing with Pat Freiermuth. Looks like a 2-week injury for Pat as well. Not going to go on IR. We'll have to look out for more too to see if he's going to be practicing this week. And somebody entered, Leo entered a concussion protocol. Obviously, how he practices determines whether or not he's going to clear protocol this week. Guys, this is your show. You get to comment. You get to question. You get to put up whatever you like. We're going to have a guest host of the Bleave in Ravens podcast with the Bleave Network. Kari Johnson, he's going to be joining us here shortly. He's with the Baltimore Ravens. He does all that kind of stuff and has a great insight into the Ravens. So if you have any Ravens related questions, please keep them for when he joins the show here shortly within the next 5 to 10 minutes. We'll jump him on here and we'll all ask him some fun questions and get a rise out of our brothers over here in Baltimore. Hey, Brian Brown, great to see you, my friend. I'm glad to see you jumping on the show early as well. Sean Peters, good to see Facebook up here, my friends. What's going on? Oh, I'm here to have fun, talk Steelers, and hopefully turn it around this week, because if we can't get up for playing the Ravens, it's going to be a long damn season. It is, because we've got to beat our division rival Ravens to have a shot of winning this division. And this is the time we got to play them. We did not play a physical game last week. We've got to be physical. If we're not physical against the Ravens, we're going to get our butt kicked on Sunday. Show up, hit the guy in front of you, do the right thing. Michael Scott, join us. Stryker, are you punkin' Drublick? Yes, I am. Yeah, man, I've got all their albums pretty much. War on Errorism, Heavy Petting Zoo is one of my first albums. I think I got ribbed as well back in the day. So great band. It's my all-time favorite band. So if you guys don't know who NoFX is, they never sold out. They never played on the radio. They were around since 78, and they are just starting to wind it down this year. Phenomenal punk band, and keep getting better every year. Logan, did you see that Canada tweeted account? Yeah, I heard that was like a burner account. They were saying there, Logan, that he's like putting up excuses. Be hilarious if that is true. Happy to see him go. 1 to 2 weeks. Yeah, that's what they're saying for Kenny. Kenny's a bone bruise. With bone bruises, if it was an MCL sprain, it would have been 1 to 3 weeks. And that's what I was hoping for, being the best case scenario. It's even better than that. Fortunately, the young kids get a little bit more flexibility in those knees. I imagine it's a little loose, but when it bends that way, when the knee bends that way, there is going to be bone-to-bone contact, and that is where the bone bruise occurs. Now, to tell you the truth, you can play with a bone bruise. It's just a pain management thing. And I don't know if the Steelers want to put Kenny Pickett on the field in that situation if he's going to be in pain. So we'll have to see what happens on that. Oh, I'm going to see Kari shot me a quick one. Kyrie, it's Kyrie. Thank you. Kyrie Thompson correcting me with the pronunciation. So Kyrie will be joining us here soon. He's putting his toddler to bed, and as soon as he does, we'll have him up here. We'll ask him some Ravens-related questions, so be ready, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube for some Ravens stuff coming up. Terry Murphy, the second. Best news would have been a coaching fire sale. Tomlin and Canada need to go. Absolutely, we need to get Canada out of there. I'm done with Canada. I hung on as long as I could, tried to toe the line as much as I could, but I am not seeing anything from week to week that is showing me any signs of improvement. And he got his whole offense hurt last week with the crap calls he was making. They're playing on their heels. When you're playing on your heels and not on your toes, that's when you get hurt in the NFL. This team was playing on their heels the entire time, both sides of the ball. Absolutely both sides of the ball were playing on their heels. Got to do better. Got to be better, because that was not good enough. Brian Brown, glad you didn't call the show the jet sweep with Stryker. I don't know how long I can call the jet sweep anymore. We didn't run one last week. That was crazy. Terry Murphy. No sense in risking his career long-term. Trubisky is being paid. Let him go out and get beat up. Yeah, I'm fine with Trubisky or Rudolph playing in this game coming up. Let's see who else we got over here on the Instagrammy grams. Canada made, yeah, we got the burner account there. Luke, no cap, bro. Steeler Nation isn't over this year, and neither is Kenny. Great call there, Luke. Love that stuff. Spencer. Oh, you just joined. Sometimes I have trouble seeing if it's somebody joining. My old eyes. That's what happens when you get over 45, guys. Luke Lively. Hopefully, the plays definitely need him, but the Steelers are not finished. Anyone who says they are isn't a real fan. True. I've seen worse. I've seen worse starts in a Steelers season, and they've been able to turn around. I am old enough to remember the 1984 start to the season of 92 and 10. We scored 10 points in 2 games against division rivals Cleveland and Cincinnati back-to-back. 10 points versus 92. And we found a way to make the playoffs that year with Bubby Brister. Not only do we find a way to make the playoffs, but we won our first round game on New Year's Eve against the Houston Oilers on a big field goal kick there toward the end of the game, forcing us into the next week against the Denver Broncos. We got up 10-0 in that game, unfortunately. Freaking Elway is one of the best ever. So he found his way to get to the Super Bowl. Guys, I'm going to let our friend join right up here. Kyrie Thompson is going to be joining us immediately from the Believe in Ravens podcast. Please bring up your Ravens-oriented questions because I'm going to introduce them, and we're going to have some fun here asking some Ravens-oriented questions. And Kyrie, welcome to the show with Strikers Inside Slant. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thanks for having me. You know what? I was going to make fun of you for a second for talking about Bubby Brister, except for the fact that I remember Bubby Brister in particular when he was the backup for the Denver Broncos, because the Denver Broncos used to be the team that I would always play when I was young, when I played like the first iterations of different football games and such. So yeah, even when he wasn't starting, sometimes I throw him in there just for fun because having Elway was just a cheat code.
2-time Super Bowl champion Bubby Brister with the Denver Broncos being their backup.
Hey, man, this is two more Super Bowl rings than most of us have.
Exactly. and just so you know, so you feel a little bit at home, I've got a football right here behind me. It's in the glass case in between my 2 yellow helmets right here.
Excellent.
That is signed by Rod Woodson. Back when I used to work for the Ravens, I got it done in 2000 when I used to run the Pepsi fan zone for the kids area for Ravens training camp and for all the pregame for all the home games. Got him to sign it, but while I was waiting for him to sign it, Ray Lewis walked up to me, who never did signing up till that year, but he had to do a PR year that year because of the stuff that happened in the Super Bowl prior. And he's like, "You want me to sign your ball?" I'm like, "I'm not going to tell a future Hall of Famer not to sign my ball." So Ray Lewis's name is on this ball as well as Rod Woodson's. So, and I live in the Baltimore area too. I'm out toward Frederick. I know this area well. I went to college at UMBC. So I always sport the black and gold in here with the Baltimore flag as well, being black and gold for the Baltimore City flag. And I always love that as well. Surprised that there aren't any black and gold teams with the Baltimore City flag being black and gold as well. But I digress. Are you local here to the area too, Kyrie?
I'm actually not. So for my story, I'm in Boston right now. So I've been a Patriots beat reporter for the past couple of years.
Nice.
I'm out of the immediate beat reporting days right now, but the Ravens have always been one of my favorite franchises to follow. I mean, I'm talking about going back to like 2006 when I was really starting to get into football.
Nice.
And so the opportunity to do the Believe in Ravens podcast came up, and I couldn't say no because like, hey, it's like sneaky favorite team. And then normally I do the podcast with Danny Wilcox, former Ravens tight end.
Exactly. Yeah, good guy.
And yes, what wonderful guy. Hoping to get him back on the podcast here soon. He's been, taking a little bit of time off, but I'll tell you what, man.
Living in the Baltimore area, or is he also elsewhere?
So he's also elsewhere now. So he's down in Georgia. I mean, that man works like crazy. Like he's like the most interesting man in the world. He like builds houses and does renovations. He like built a set for Usher. Wow. Of like a couple of months ago for like a music video that Usher was doing. And
Wow.
then, oh, by the way, he hangs out with his kids, coaches, baseball, football part-time. His kid is like some like 30 home run a year slugger in high school. I
Wow.
mean, he's got it going. He's living the
Nice.
life.
Oh, that's awesome, Kyrie. And I've also been following the Ravens since their inception. Like I said, I was going to university at UMBC when they came into the Baltimore area, and I was super psyched because I'm like, yay, I get to see a Steeler home game every year, or Steeler game in Baltimore every year.
Perfect.
And that was my thing. And I used to work for the Ravens, so I'd take the one game off every year for the Steeler home game. The only game I'd show up in black and gold, and they hated it.
Exactly. I love that. And it's a slightly different story for me. The last year, so I'm a Patriots beat reporter, right? I had done it for a couple of years, and the Chicago Bears came to town. I'm from Northwest Indiana originally.
Okay.
Chicago Bears were my team growing up. I grew up 35 minutes outside of Chicago.
Oh,
I will take all of your apologies and take all of your condolences now. Thank you very much.
no problem. Hey, thank you very much for giving us that second round pick for Chase Claypool.
We not going to talk
worked out for you.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Okay.
I'm really sorry about that. Yeah, he was a bit of a head case. We knew he was a bit of a head case, but we thought a change of scenery was going to turn him around because he's got all the talent in the world. He just doesn't have it between the ears, unfortunately.
And I think
that's what he needs.
Yeah, and you know what? I think with him, right, you could see in week one with the Bears that he just was not engaged in the game plan.
Right.
But the thing is, like, he'll have his opportunities to be 6'4", 240 pounds, and he plays like a 5'10" slot guy. You're throwing the ball down the field. It's like, oh yeah, we want to go throw 50-50 balls. He can't do 50-50 balls. Like, I don't understand the point of being that big and that fast, and you play soft. And I mean, obviously, the saga going on with Claypool right now, where I feel like
I heard all the interviews too with your head coach, or with Chicago's head coach, just stating like they don't want him in the facility. They said at least on Sunday, like, initially that he was going to be in the facility on Monday at Hollis, and then they said he's not going to show up when they got around to Monday, and they're not going to have him there. So they're looking to move him. It looks like possibly for a late round draft pick, maybe a late round draft pick trading a 6th or a 7th or something to that extent. But yeah, it's just unfortunate that didn't work out because we got one really good year out of him, one fantastic year out of him. And he put up great numbers for us in that season. But outside of that, you could see there were some cracks in his ability to be mentally tough when he wasn't putting up numbers. And that's a tough thing for a young wide receiver to do. When it's a vet wide receiver, it's been in the league 8-9 years, is expecting to put up numbers. Yeah, they can get a bit of a head.
And it's so strange too, because all these Chase Claypool connections coming out. So I was a reporter at the university, well, not at the University of Notre Dame, but at the South Bend Tribune. So right down the road from Notre Dame Stadium. I was actually a graduate student at Notre Dame, so we worked right across the street from the stadium. I was there when I was there.
I got a quick question. They were asking what I was drinking. Nolan, I'm drinking West Cork. It's a great Irish whiskey.
Nice.
This one is the black cask. It's nice and smoky. They've got like a bunch of different flavors. They got a peat moss one, a sherry cask, a stout cask. All of them are phenomenal.
Man, I should have known it was that kind. I should have known it was that kind of show, man, because look, because I had myself a Paloma, which is like a tequila and like grapefruit juice mix. It's
nice.
Incredible.
That's refreshing as hell.
Love those. I also have myself like an 11% like milk stout that I just absolutely adore. Could have like that. That's I associate that with football. But it's funny to get back to the Claypool thing. Like, I was there at the South Bend Tribune when he was playing at Notre Dame. And I remember thinking, like, when I saw him come out the combine, it's like, okay, I'm a little surprised by the numbers, but not terribly. Like, but he was like a special teams demon. He was like a hard playing dude.
All the way through his senior year, he played every special team. Like, this guy's a hard worker. You're like, and he did that for us his rookie year as well.
Yeah, I think
special teams.
I don't know, man. I think somebody just got in his ear. He got an idea about himself, and he lost his train of thought. And I think maybe there's still some hope that the real the real Chase Claypool, the Notre Dame version of Chase Claypool is in there. But I would like to point out that version of Chase Claypool wasn't setting the world on fire as a wide receiver. So, I mean, he's going to have to find some way to stay in the league if that's what he wants.
That is true. Well, let's get to some Ravens questions for you, Kyrie, since that's why you're here on the show. I know Miles, and we've all noticed the last couple of years, it's a shame that the Ravens can't stay healthy or have been having issues with health. I know the Ravens went out and they fired essentially their whole training staff last year. Yeah. But now this year they seem to get hit in this injury bug again. Is there any rhyme or reason to this? And what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it's like so much of, I think, guys getting injured in the league right now has to do with the way they ramp up for the season. And there are a lot of differing opinions on what you should do, because for one thing, they've limited the amount of hitting that you can do in practice. And so I think sometimes you get into preseason games and then guys are like, it's like, my body has not done this in a long time. Can't really do it in practice. Like, you could only go live for like a certain amount of time. And so I think you see maybe some more nicks and scrapes and bruises and things like that to keep guys out. But then you also have the flip side of that where people say, you know what, I'm not playing my starters in the preseason. And then they come out preseason game 1. They haven't played in a minute. They haven't had that live contact in a minute. And then boom, they get hurt. Yes. I feel like with the Ravens training staff, I don't know that we've had enough time under them to really figure out whether or not it's just an old school philosophy or just like bad advice that they're getting, or if it's just straight up football. What I will say is, I mean, some of these guys are like Ronnie Stanley. Ronnie Stanley's always hurt. I mean, that just kind of is what it is.
Yeah. Well, and he's was the best one, arguably the best tackle taken that year in the draft.
Yeah. And I mean, again, another Notre Dame guy, knew he was going to be good, knew he was going to be solid. But I'm going to say this, right? You look at the fact that the Ravens can't stay healthy, but all their depth has been playing well. Right. And I think you look at what happened.
A Ravens stalwart is next guy up is going to make plays and may become the next starter.
Yeah. And I mean, look at a couple of players that I'm going to use as examples here. Geno Stone and Brandon Stevens. So Geno Stone in a normal lineup for the Baltimore Ravens, Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton are going to be your 2 starting safeties. Obviously, Marcus Williams has been hurt, so you haven't seen him yet in the regular season. Geno Stone comes in. He's got 2 interceptions, swiped Joe Burrow in the red zone on just like a total veteran read. I mean, the guy just knows what he's doing. And then the one thing that everybody was worried about, who is going to play cornerback with this, like for this team? What is the cornerback depth going to be like? What are the backups going to be like? And we really thought that there was going to be some more exposure when Marlon Humphrey went down immediately due to injury, right? So he's another guy that we haven't seen play.
Exactly. He's a Pro Bowler.
Yes. Yeah. And what happens is Rock Yassin comes in. He's over here locking up Jamar Chase. Yeah. Right. Yep. And ripping the ball out of his hands in the end zone. And Brandon Stevens and like Ardarius Washington and all these guys that are like, you would not normally want to be playing, are coming in and they're stepping up. Right. I mean, it's remarkable. I think that in the end, right, if you're going to be a Super Bowl contending roster, you need your best players back. But to see the way that they have survived, and the fact that they're 3-1 with as many injuries as they have, we haven't even talked about the running backs, right? We haven't even talked about that. But the way that they've managed to tread water speaks a lot to, again, the coaching, the depth they have, and of course, there's that dude on the other side of the ball, wears number 8, kind of does the whole Superman thing.
Former MVP, just every team's got one,
yeah, exactly. Especially the Bears. They've got all the former.
Oh, jeez. Well, Fields, you can make an argument of Fields being Lamar Jackson-esque. I just don't know if it's a problem with putting him in the correct system to really meet his athletic talents the way that the Ravens have. Like when they drafted Lamar, they completely went and started drafting tight ends. They stopped worrying so much about wide receivers, and they drafted a ton of offensive linemen that are road graders as opposed to pass blockers.
They Greg Romanized They Greg Romanized it real quick. And to
Right.
answer your question again, so it's like it's funny, right? That like I'm kind of pulled in all these different directions when it comes to football. The Bears have absolutely done Justin Fields like no favors. Well, I
Right.
mean, it's like, okay, you traded for DJ Moore, good.
Yeah.
You drafted Darnell Wright, who's good. I like Darnell Wright.
Right.
But just about everything else about the play calling, the protection, the details is just an absolute freaking dumpster fire. And then let's not talk about the fact that the defense just like can like if you think the Denver Broncos are bad, the Bears
Oh,
they're on that level of terrible defense.
yeah.
And I mean
That's a,
the Bears are incredible at ruining quarterbacks. They
yeah.
really always have been. And it's unfortunate that a guy can throw for 335 yards, 4 touchdowns,
Yeah.
and you lose the game. And I mean,
Right.
yeah, there were some. I mean, Justin Fields got turnover issues. I
Right.
mean, can nobody deny that? I mean, he puts the ball on the ground or throws interceptions. I mean, those things are for real. But the fact that a guy can have that kind of game, 4 touchdowns and an interception, and you lose,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah.
That's not all just
And that's
about
a statement
a
game
couple
for
of
Fields
plays.
too. Yeah, no, it was tough. It was tough because when they were up
Yeah.
by 2 scores, I thought they were going to put it up. Getting back on track with the Ravens. Miles also wants to know, is Dobbins' career over? Because that was the draft where it was like Dobbins went before. Like a lot of Steelers wanted
Yeah.
Dobbins, and then we drafted Claypool that year. So like a lot of
Right.
Ravens wanted Claypool. A lot of Steelers wanted Dobbins, and it seemed like the fan bases were having envy about the other guy being taken by
Yeah.
the other team. Completely talented guy. I love his ability as a receiver out of the backfield as well. Tough to touch, let alone bring down. So what is I guess the issue with Dobbins this year is he been already placed on injured reserve, and how
Torn
long do you
Achilles.
expect him? Oh, it's a torn Achilles. My
Yeah,
Lord. Oh,
yeah,
God.
it's a torn Achilles, suffered it in week 1. So
Ah,
he's obviously done for the season. There's
right.
no coming back from that this year. I mean, here's what I'll say. I don't think his career is over.
Hmm.
Not yet, but I do think that Achilles injuries are easier to come back from. Like if done correctly, if the surgery's done correctly, they're easier to come back from than they've ever been.
Yeah.
But again, you're talking about a running back, and that is a position that relies on cuts, explosive cuts, short area quickness, explosiveness.
Right.
That I mean, it's different than being a quarterback like an Aaron Rodgers, where like, okay, yeah, you're gonna run sometimes. And obviously, if you're 39 years old coming back from an Achilles injury, the way that he had, I mean, that can be tough. But I mean, for the most part, you're trying to just sit back there and throw the football. You got to move around a little bit, but for the
Yeah.
most part, you're not doing a jump cut every single play, or trying to make a guy miss in the hole, or having a guy roll up on you, hit you in the legs, what have you, every single play that you're on the football field.
Mhm.
So I think it's going to be tougher for J.K. Dobbins to come back from that than say like an Aaron Rodgers in that sense.
Right.
But look, he's still young. There's
Mhm.
still time for him to work through it. I mean, it's like if you're going to talk about J.K. Dobbins' career being over, I mean, Nick Chubb has had now several severe knee injuries,
Yeah.
and he keeps finding a way to come back. It is
Mhm.
possible. But I think the question is going to be, yeah, he'll come back to play. What's he going to look like
Yeah.
when he does come back? And so I feel like you have to keep on churning and burning at the running back position if you're the Baltimore Ravens, because you can't, unfortunately, you just can't count on J.K. Dobbins ever being what he was, or what you hoped that he was going to be.
Yeah. And then Miles Pressgraves also wants to know, what are your thoughts on the great, talented, drafted wide receiver, Zay Flowers?
You're asking the right guy, because Zay Flowers, I screamed it the
Right.
entire draft season that this guy was going to be good.
Yeah.
And that it was to me, it was going to be between him and Jackson Smith and Jigba as the guys who should go number 1 overall. Not people talk about Quentin Johnston. I mean, obviously, right, he's a big, huge dude with run after the catch ability. I had concerns about the hands,
Right.
but I think he will eventually. I mean, he'd probably be a very good player. But dude, look, Zay Flowers, again, being from the Boston area, I went to Zay Flowers' pro day. I talked to the guy. he's quiet but extremely confident, and then like he attacks. He was over there running routes at his pro day, like he was attacking the air. Like he saw defenders everywhere, and he's going 100 miles an hour. There is no easing off the gas pedal with that guy. He just goes for it. He's a dog. Like I mean, people hear you say that and it's like, oh yeah, like what does that even really mean? No, this dude is a freaking dog. He competes every second he's on the football field. His speed and his stop and start ability is electric. Honestly, it's hard to guard the guy one-on-one without holding him, which I thought it was interesting to see him go up against Denzel Ward a little bit, because Denzel Ward's a good player,
right?
Highly drafted cornerback himself.
Yes.
And to see Zay Flowers run some routes against him. I mean, Ward won a couple of those reps, but then Zay Flowers gets open down the field, makes a big play. I mean, he is just difficult to deal with. The Ravens can get him the ball in so many different ways, where you're talking about end around or jet sweeps, or you're seeing him get the ball in smoke screens like in week 1. And just once he gets the ball in the open field, he's just so hard to land a clean shot on.
Right.
So to me, I mean, he has absolutely answered the bell for being a rookie wide receiver. It is not an easy position to play. It is not an easy position to excel at as a rookie. I mean, none of them necessarily are, unless you're like a kicker or a punter or something like that. But I mean, he's doing everything they want from him. He's even sticking his nose in there in the passing, in the blocking game. Right. Like he's fearless.
He is an all around wide. That's what I really liked about him on his draft tape coming up. And I will agree. I thought this is the best first round product I've seen the Ravens draft. I mean, people can argue Hollywood Brown. I just didn't like his size. But there are no negatives to Flowers' game. Zero. Good route runner, good attacking the football at the high point on 50-50 balls. Doing the blocking, doing the dirty work as well. Like, this is a player where I'm like, interesting year where the Ravens finally draft a wide receiver and the Steelers finally draft a cornerback that works for them, because you guys always seem to find corners everywhere in the draft. We find wide receivers everywhere in the draft. If we work together, we'd have an unbeatable team.
Incredible.
Oh, that's great. So thank you very much for joining the show. I don't want to take too much of your time, Kyrie, but I'm glad you joined us. So please let us know how we can follow you, how we can find you here on the interwebs, and of course, pimp your show.
Absolutely, my man. Well, you can find me at the Bleave in Ravens podcast. I'm there with my guy, Danny Wilcox. I'm doing it solo right now, but you can definitely find me there. I'm on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call that sucker. I'm on there at KD Thompson 5. I'm literally on there all the time. Nice. And as you can see, I will talk about anything football related. You can like Ravens, Bears, Patriots, Steelers. I'll talk Steelers with you.
Right.
You want me to talk about how much I don't like Kenny Pickett? Let's do it. I mean, I'd be more than happy to interact with all of y'all. It's been a blast being on here, and I mean, good conversation. I love to come back sometime. Hey, look, we're gonna see each other later on down the road. So
yes, we are. We're gonna see each other twice this year.
Yeah,
and we're gonna see New England too. We can jump you back on here if you want to talk New England.
Oh my God! I mean, let's not. I mean, we can get into it another time, but holy crap, they are in trouble.
Guys, Facebook, YouTube. I know I already put the in the description and the summary. I've got your handle there. I can't remember what it is offhand. What is your handle there for X?
At KD Thompson 5.
That's it. So make sure to follow that, guys. Just take a click on that, give him a follow. And thank you so much, Lade, again, for going on the show. And I'm going to leave you with one more interesting stat on your way out. Chase Claypool has not won a football game since week 1 of 2022. That's an interesting stat.
Hey, I just want to say, the moment they took this brother off the field, Justin Fields goes off for 300 plus yards. Coincidence? I think not.
And then the Steelers win all their games the second half of the season. I mean,
it's perfect. I mean, come on, get this man off the field, and the Bears will make the playoffs. Bam.
Right.
There it is.
Right. There you go. All right, Kyrie, awesome meeting you. Glad to have you on the show. I'm happy to have you back anytime, my friend.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
No worries, man. Talk to you. And that's guys. Please give him a follow. Please check out the summary boards, Facebook, YouTube, KD Thompson 5 at X. Make sure you follow him. Great guy. Can't wait to have him back on the show. Guys, getting back to your questions for me, of course. Good times. Thanks, Brian Davis. Appreciate that. What's up, Brian? Today I learned that Chase State, if away from team, they can't get compensation in a trade if they release them. True. If they release them, they don't get compensation. Jake Wake, shout out from Niles, Michigan. If you worked in South Bend. Oh, sorry I didn't get to ask him that. That's cool. And you're happy. Yeah, we're trying to be. James Herbst. All I got to say is fire Canada. I know we've been saying that over here on Instagram a lot too. Guys, I'm back up. I'm getting to your questions now. Devin, I wanted to get to yours. This is going to be a big game. Would be clutch if we won somehow. Exactly. Coach, what do we do? Got to play way more physical. We got to stop their damn run. And we got to contain Lamar Jackson. I have no idea what TJ Watt was doing last game, running 20 yards behind the quarterback, like straight up field, like he was freaking Jarvis Jones. I could not stand the way he was rushing. I was expecting to put a foot in ground and do a counter like he normally does when he gets him off balance. He just kept running up the field. Drove me nuts. I can't stand that way of rushing the passer. Matt, Chiefs will not win the Super Bowl this way, by the way. That's a big take. I don't know how many other people agree with that, but I like that take. That might be a Taylor Swift thing there. If Taylor Swift has anything to say about it, they're winning the Super Bowl. Devin, Darnell Washington, better step up for Muth. He definitely better. Definitely better. Miles, will Darnell Washington make the Ravens submit to his will? I hope to hell so, because he's a big boy and he's big boy pants on. If he's going to be hitting the guy in front of him hard as a starter this week, I'm excited to see it. I'm really excited to see it. Good night, Brian. Thanks for joining the show. Hey, Steeler Wade Show. Welcome back. James, this game on Sunday is significant, not just as a rivalry and divisional game with a hard-hitting opponent, but it's at home in front of Steeler Nation. After the 30-6 loss, the fans are ready to be excited about something, or there is going to be plenty of boos. I'm telling you one thing, guys. If we start doing the 3-and-out offense all first half, that stadium is going to be trying to jump over onto the field to kill Matt Canada. But he's up in the booth. It's going to be tough to do. But they're going to rush the field. Stop that crap I'm having. Ian, how you doing, my friend? I agree. When you're rebuilding a team, it comes down to the staff you hire and the choices you have and the veterans, the draftees that play with you. Exactly. Oh, Miles. Would you like to trade for Matt Canada? He's a great offensive coordinator. Most dynamic our offense has ever seen. I know. I'll take any. Hell, I'll give a team a 6th or 7th to take Matt Canada. I'm at that point now. Justin, I find it funny that all of a sudden, all of these Steeler fans have the patience of a saint with Kenny Pickett. You guys told me after 8 games that Mason Rudolph wasn't the guy. I'm fine with Mason Rudolph playing this week, to tell you this true, Justin. Kenny can suck for 2.5 years, and it's an excuse after excuse. Well, so far, he's just about played a full season's worth of football. So now we can start assessing Kenny Pickett, and I'm fine with making it and running through Kenny Pickett, ride or die for this season, seeing if he proves to next season. After that, you've got to make a decision on whether or not you're going to move on from him. Ian, looks like Jones is going to get time with the first string this next game. Yep, Jones, Washington. We got a lot of rookies starting this week, and we'll have to see how they do. Fingers crossed. Guys, let me know if you got any more questions. Coming up, I'm shooting over to Instagram. Devin, if the Steelers could throw a first down, I'd be happy. That is the saddest thing ever. I'm with you 100% there, Devin. We've got to get better in that. Ninja Cyclops. I remember you from last week, man. One of my favorite handles ever. I know this ain't about the Ravens, but Steelers traded Dan Moore, right? Steelers traded Dan Moore, right? What did we get for him? No, Dan Moore is our starting left tackle and just got hurt last game, which is why Jones came into play, and now Jones is going to be starting this week. So Dan Moore is still on the team. We did trade Kendrick Green, and we did trade Dotson. I think we got like a Yeah, fourth or fifth rounder for Green. I can't recall. Guys, shoot it up. Let me know what we got for Green. And Dotson, I think we traded picks. We got a better pick out of it. So I think it was like instead of a seventh, we got a sixth rounder. We swapped it for a seventh rounder. So we might have done some swap pick in there. Cannot recall completely, but you guys let me know if you guys remember so we can let Ninja know as well. Because I'm all about getting the right information on my podcast. I don't know everything. I know a lot. But I know we didn't trade Dan Moore yet. He's still on the team. And he was still playing all season so far. Will we fire Canada, Ricky? I hope to hell so. I'm not doing live video, guys. I am on 4 different streams. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Instagram. So I cannot do a live. I will eventually do a live Q&A strictly for Instagram, and we can do some of those. Ricky, should we trade Najee? I think we need to. That might be something that we think to do if we're going to try to do a retooling. We've got to think about it after next year because we have there's a 5th-year option on this kid as well. So that's a good reason to keep a running back that's drafted in the first round because we get him for 5 years and then we can tag him the next year. So that's six years of having a running back. And I thought he ran a good game last week. He had near 100 yards if he didn't get over. I thought he got over. You guys let me know. Amp, Pittsburgh wins. You know how this goes. I know after a destroyed defeat, like usually they find a way to come back and win. I hope so. I hope they find a way to win this week. Ush, what is Tomlin changing besides practice squad players? I have no idea. It's got to change in the offensive room, and it's got to be Sullivan starting to the game plan because Canada's game plan is no longer valid. It sucks. He gets his players hurt. He's not setting up anything. Gives us no chance for first downs. Lose to Burns, win versus rivals. That's exactly the way we wanted, Amp. Unfortunately, Kendrick Green got hurt last game, too. He had a really good game against us for Houston. Looks like he's going to be out for a while as well. Amp, 16 games, 11 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He isn't good. Well, you got to look at a lot of, like, Peyton Manning. He had, like, 30 interceptions in his first year as a starter. So you could be worse. Got to get better, though. Got to get better, and I don't think he can get better with his offensive coordinator. Sam, will Joey Porter Jr. start? I hope to hell so, and I hope King starts getting some starts out there on the edge as well. Guy is a capable edge player. Right now, it looks like Pat Peterson and Wallace are not pulling, not doing the standard. Their standard is below standard right now. The kid. I'm really worried about how we're going to find our franchise core B if it's not Kenny Pickett or Caleb Williams. Could pull an Eli and refuse to play for the number 1 pick if we trade up for him. How much would we give up? It would take a lot to get Caleb Williams. Honestly, it would take a lot. We'd have to give a team like probably TJ Watt to get him. And maybe some lower picks or like 3 first-rounders. It's going to take a lot to get Caleb Williams. Will we do it? I don't know. It depends on how Khan and Weidel assess him as a quarterback versus the quarterback that we have. If they think that this is a mistake and we need to move on from Kenny Pickett, because right now Kenny Pickett is doing nothing to give me any faith in him. Do you think Kenny Pickett's injury is MC fault, Matt Canada's fault? I think it's exactly Matt Canada's fault. Why do you run a pistol play on a 4th and 1? 5 yards snap into the backfield. Dumb. Should have been a quarterback sneak. Kenny Pickett is not getting hurt on a quarterback sneak. Kenny Pickett is getting us first downs on quarterback sneaks. We got to stop that crap. Absolutely stop that crap. Great question. Love that one, Rafi. BS, Tomlin changed nothing, so I'm annoyed. I'm as well. Corey Frank! Hopefully, we'll take a page from the hated Patriots utilizing the tight ends. Washington is a big body. Move him around, throw him the ball, move Austin around, get him the ball, because the Ravens are for sure going to double Pickens. If I'm right or wrong. And honestly, like, I'm at the point now where, like, just put Freiermuth on 4-game vacation, put him on IR, and grab Gentry off of Cincinnati's practice squad. And keep Gentry for 4 games. That's where I'm at because I know Gentry can block. We'd have the 2 best blocking tight ends in our scheme with Gentry and Washington. I'd like to see that work, especially against the Ravens. Ian White, seriously, they should call Wiz back for the offense coordinator job. He would be a far better improvement. Agreed. Ian, I think Kenny doesn't improve next year. They may go back to the draft for a new one. You have to. You have to think to move on if they're not there. Great point. Thank you, Steeler Wade. And guys, let me know if you got any more questions over there on Facebook or YouTube. Switching back over here to Instagram. Jay Perez, Des Fitzpatrick, cut. What did we gain? We might have cut him to put somebody back on the roster. Let me check the roster right now. I do have that up. See if I can figure that out here. Yeah, because Dez is definitely not on the roster right now. Who did we bring up? Going through this quick. We already had Igwebuike on the roster for running back. He's been inactive. Yep, all the offensive guys are still there. Leal, Fahoko, unless it was Dylan Cook. Dylan Cook is rostered now. Nick Herbig. Marcus Colton, Desmond King. Nope, those guys have been. So that's what I got to think it is, guys. I got to think the player added was Dylan Cook. Since Dan Moore is out, not looking good for this week. Dylan Cook was brought in to be added to the roster, so we got rid of Dez for that move, it looks like, unfortunately. Because I like Dez as well. We're going to probably try to practice squad him again, Perez. Walker, should we draft a quarterback in the first 2 rounds? Depends. Depends on how this season plays out. That's an early time to ask that question. The Don, some of these plays are Kenny Pickett's fault. He misses open players. I agree as well. That's a completely factual assessment. I see the exact same thing. I go to games. My view is from behind, so I get to see how the play opens up. I get to see open receivers, open reads. He's missing a lot of them this year. And then when he's going to try to throw the ball, sometimes he misses those crosses like severely. I don't know how he has trouble throwing crosses straight over the middle of the field. B. Sumner, Matt Canada plays Tecmo Bowl for research. Yeah, original Tecmo Bowl. So every 4th play, they're blitzing everybody. That's exactly what it looks like. As opposed to the second Tecmo Bowl where you could do 8 plays. And it was tougher to figure out. Amp, King is starting. I heard it today. That's awesome. I would love Joey Porter Jr., honestly, to start. But King is a vet. He knows what he's doing. It should be King and Porter Jr. Somebody's got to take away Zay. Zay will eat us up like all these other top wide receivers have been eating us up all year. 150 plus, 1 to 2 touchdowns. He will eat us up if we do not put somebody good on Zay Flowers for this game. B. Sumner, I'm not sold on the whole Caleb Williams situation. It's a question mark. You never know how a player is going to be when they enter the league. Phil, when does Deontay come back? After the bye. He and Cam have a chance of coming back after the bye, but I think Cam will probably be out a little longer, but you have to be out for 4 games minimum. Deontay Johnson puts us solidly after the bye, after this next game. So the game after the bye, Deontay Johnson can play, and I expect him to be ready and going in that game. And our offense is going to be a lot more productive when he shows back up because he's the engine of that offense, guys, our X receiver. He's always open. I know wide receivers say they're always open, but you watch him run routes. He is always open. Always open. Guy's phenomenal. Can't wait to see him come back and get this offense moving again because we have no answer for him. I thought Robinson was going to be the answer when he went down and we wouldn't miss a step, but they've been throwing Austin over there, and I think he's a little too young to be hitting those routes as well as Deontay Johnson does. The kid, back again. I think we should get basically anybody that has worked for the Niners. They all seem to be great play callers. Exactly. We need to do that next year because their last picked quarterback in the 7th round is outplaying the top quarterback in that draft right now. Puck the Ravens. Perfectly said, Ush. Couldn't agree more. The kid thought King was more of a slot guy. He can play both. But he's an excellent slot guy as well. Clue, didn't I tell you we needed to draft Addison? Right. Can I get an inch of separation without 18? I know that is the tough thing. Or can we get some root concepts to get other people open? That's the aspect. That's the aspect I want to see. Rick Giddings on Facebook. Stryker, Canada has me down bad, depressed. I'm with you, Rick. I am with you. That was one of the hardest games I've had to watch ever last week. Just the way that I had no confidence in the offense moving the football. I had no confidence in the offensive play calling, getting people open and generating first downs. And then we started getting hurt all over the place. It was a difficult game to watch. Really, it was. I'm surprised I could jump on the show right afterward. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was on a 10-minute rant before I let anybody talk after the game because that's what I do when I was feeling it that hard. But it hurt. As a Steeler fan, you guys know, it hurt. Jace, why don't we use Darnell Washington and Allen Robinson correctly? Actually, why don't we use any of our weapons correctly? Hopefully, we're going to be using Washington correctly this week because he is the guy. It's our chance to use him now. Problem is, we're never in the red zone. Like, he's supposed to be a red zone target. We've been in the red zone twice. Twice this season. Twice. We've been in the red zone. In 4 games. Twice. That's insane. That's how bad our offense is. Worse than the league. By far. And maybe we can get a 6th or 7th for Moore. Dude, we should get way more from Moore's been a 3-year starter and been starting at left tackle out of the box. That guy is at least worth a 3rd or 4th. Honestly. And we have some, we like him. We like the guy. We can still swap him over to right tackle and keep Jones left. Guy's a piece. He's going to be a piece for a while still on his rookie contract. Rick Giddings! They can easily get that for Moore if they got a pick for Green. Exactly. Steeler Wade Show, I forgot how much I enjoy your show. More of a bad brains man myself. Oh, I love DC Punk, man. You cannot go wrong with DC Punk. I'm a big Naked Ray Gun guy. And then when Jeff went over to Chicago and started The Bomb, phenomenal band. Yeah, Bad Brains, DC, the DC Cabs, the Skunks, all that ska punk scene. Great music in the DC scene there in the late 80s, early 90s. Awesome scene. Emil Scales, welcome back. What's up, Steeler Nation? We're going to be okay. Thank you. We definitely need to be okay. And I think the first round in the draft, we should go for a center. What are the choices in next draft? No idea. You guys know me. I run a draft show and I'm live for the entire draft. I don't know anything about the players we're going to take until the month before. I let everybody else decide. Like people whose pay grade is way higher than mine that study college football players, stating where they need to be, where they need to go and slot in, whether they're first day, second day, or third day guy. Then I will give my opinion. But definitely, if we have a first round caliber center, like that's really our only holes right now, Ian, for drafting. Guard and center now. Maybe like start drafting offensive and defensive linemen next draft. Lots of them. Because we've got skill possession players. We've got them. We can draft a running back or a wide receiver late. But I like our depth. Inside linebacker, maybe, if we want to add some more competition to that room. Cornerback, always. But if Trice comes back and he looks as good as he started looking in preseason and in training camp, we're looking good at corner moving forward. Rick Giddings. Cedric Van Prawn from Georgia, late first, early second grade, is a top center, probably, Ian. That's awesome. Thank you, Rick, at least for letting me know what's going on with that. Wade, twice. Twice are effing dickless. Okay. I would love a center in the second round. I'm fine first or second, to tell you the truth, depending on how good the player is, especially since the Steelers have such a high weight on centers. They will use a first rounder on a center and have one for a decade. Ian, okay, Stryker, I hear you. What would be your fixes for the team if you were offensive coordinator? Run route concepts that get players open. Run pick plays at the 1 yard line to get players open. Run some screens that are misdirection screens so everybody doesn't know exactly what we're doing because it looks like a trick play when people run screens against us. Got to figure out a way to get those middle screens always tended to work fairly well. Middle tight end screens, especially if you have an athletic guy other than Gentry running it. I will have to say. Adam, I'm pretty sure Matt Canada has a secret meeting with Dan McCullers and got Big Dan's secret picks to keep his job. We'll have to see, Adam. We'll have to see. Over on Instagram, Phil, last week was terrible, literally from the opening kickoff. You're exactly right, Phil. There's really nothing to spin my towel for that entire game. Nick, welcome to the show. Tomlin's changes he is making are ridiculous. They definitely are. They got to be better or he's losing his job. Dollar Bill, love the name. Need a damn RB. What are you talking about, guys? Okay, I'm going to go to the game. I'm going to go to the game stats on NFL.com because Najee Harris had 100 total yards last game. He was not the problem last game. He was getting us yardage when we didn't have blocking last game. And I'm going to bring up his stats just so you can hear them straight from my mouth. Oh, gosh. Details. Stop it. I don't need to hear. Put this on mute. Stats. Running. Najee Harris, 14 rushes for 71 yards, a 5-yard average. We didn't go to him enough. 5 yards, that's the best average he's had in just about any game. And then 1 reception for 32 yards. Over 100 yards of offense. He was the only bright spot dollar bill. So I disagree with your assessment right there. I do love Warren, though, too. Big fan of Warren as well. Also, the second most yardage for us. He had about 30, 40, 55 yards of total offense. Everybody else was under 25 yards. George Pickens, 3 receptions, 25 yards. Calvin Austin, 3 receptions, 24 yards. This looks like Ben Roethlisberger throwing the ball. Darnell Washington, 1 pass, 10 yards. Allen Robinson, 1 pass, 8 yards. Pat Fryer Muth, 3 passes, 7 damn yards. That's horrific stats. Those are horrific passing stats and need to be better if we're trying to win games. But Najee Harris was not our problem. Was not our problem at all. Jace, why did we sign Pat Pete and not Byron Murphy? That's hindsight 2020. Pat Pete had his second best season ever last year. As good, if not better, than his second year in the league last year. Should be getting interceptions with this defense and our pass rush. That's why he wanted to come here. Not doing it so far. Might have been losing that step, and we might have got him at the wrong time. Phil, is the O-line, it's the O-line that can't block for 2 seconds. And I don't know if it's the O-line's coach's fault for this finesse blocking we're supposed to be doing because everybody else in the league can put us on our ass. Why can't we? We got talented guys that can put people on their bums that have done it in the past. I don't know if it's the concepts for our offensive line coach and our offensive coordinator, but they're not good enough. Not doing video, guys. I'm on 4 platforms right now. Jake, I think the team is playing like poop on purpose to get coaching staff canned. That's not a bad idea at this point, Jake. But that's usually not our MO, to tell you the truth. Susan, welcome to the show. Do you think Matt Canada is the problem? Yes, I've been saying it lately, especially after the game last week. I was off the Matt Canada wagon 3 games ago. Now I'm at the point where he is a detriment to this team and he needs to be replaced, If not this week, he needs to be replaced immediately after the Ravens game so that we at least have 2 weeks to prepare for another team with a better offensive coordinator because he is not good enough. He is not good enough to be a head coach or an offensive coordinator in this league. Barely good enough to be an offensive coordinator in high school football. It is horrid. Ian, reminds me of times when we had not only Ben, but Malone and O'Donnell. Yeah, this feels like Malone years. Like O'Donnell was a good passer. He could hit people. Like he kept chains moving. This feels exactly like Malone. You know that. You remember mid-'80s watching Mark Malone go back. If he dropped back, either it was a prayer deep ball that might be caught 1 out of 8 times or an intermediate ball short of the sticks. That was Malone. And if our running game wasn't going with Abercrombie, we were not moving the sticks and winning games. Terrible years, 84, 85, 86. Tough years to watch as a Steeler fan. Scott Punswick, Scotty boy, good to see you again. We have too much talent on offense and defense. It's being wasted by incompetence at both coordinator positions. Flores should have never left the building, and Canada should have never been allowed to enter. Honestly, I wish we would have given Flores the offensive coordinator job. Or defense. I would have taken him as either offensive or defense coordinator. Cody, Andrew, why Tomlin's big change equals the full pads practice. Guys, we only get like 5 or 7 full pads practice a year. It's dumb. There's a reason why nobody can tackle in the NFL anymore. It's because you don't have padded practices anymore. They're worried about CTE during the week. So yeah, hopefully it helps a little bit because we were not physical at all against Houston. And they pushed us all around that stadium. Absolutely pushed us all around that stadium. Jace, I would rather have Randy Fichtner than Matt Canada. Randy Fichtner was horrible as well. I hated Randy Fichtner. He was about the same. He was about the same as Matt Canada. Man. Too horrible. We should have never gotten rid of Haley. We should have never gotten rid of frickin'. Dude, we haven't been to a Super Bowl since we got rid of Arians. Arian went to a Super Bowl and won one. We should have kept Arians. Arians should still be on the roster. Ad nauseum infinitum. Guy was a heck of a coach. Fast Star, what are your thoughts on us play in the last game and the defensive coordinator overall? I thought the defensive coordinator really is getting a lot of heat for this game. I don't really think it's his fault as much for this one, Fast Star, just because the offense gave the defense zero help for time of possession. Zero. We were not getting drives until the second half. So defense was on the field the entire first half. Let's take a look at the time of possession. Time of possession is always an indication of how games go. So time of possession, looking at it here, 32 minutes to 27 minutes. It seems like it's not as bad, but it was way far off in the first half. First half, they had the ball for 10 extra minutes. We got it back a little bit more in the second half when we had 3 scoring drives, 2 getting field goals, 1 failing on that fourth down drive. But it looked like we were starting to get some points. Problem was we couldn't get in the end zone. And that's the reason why we got our butts kicked. So very difficult for a defense to continue to perform at a high level when they're always on the field. Fourth down, they just fell apart. Fourth quarter, they fell apart. And that's usually because time of possession is a factor. Lucho, am I too late? Again, fire Matt Canada. No, never too late to say fire Matt Canada. We all hate him. Cody, what's your thoughts on Canada? Canada's Twitter burner account. I said it at the top of the show. I thought it was hilarious. If that is his Twitter burner account, trying to save some face, I think that would be, I know people started saying it's his burner account. You can't really tell if it is, but super funny if it is, because he's getting flamed and destroyed on X. Absolutely destroyed. Last questions, guys. We're coming to the end of the show. Oh, sorry, Tony, you were up first. Tony Phillips. I don't think Tomlin is going to fire Canada, but I think Canada is the problem for sure. I do too. And honestly, if he doesn't do it during the bye week, we've got to start thinking about replacing Tomlin and Canada. Got to start thinking about it. Ian, yeah, those years with Malone were definitely hard to watch. They were. You got to have gray in your beard to know those years. Brian, welcome to the show. That means Tomlin is the problem. Well, Tomlin's the problem if he doesn't get rid of him. I will say that. I don't think he's the problem yet. I think he's a good coach. I think he's way better at time of possession, at game management than a lot of you guys think. And he's an awesome guy for recruiting talent to our team, both in for drafting, for talking about people before the draft, and then people want to play for him when they're in the league. They absolutely do. Those are great aspects because he is a great players coach. So there's some aspects of him that are phenomenal. Michael Scott Joyner. Even if we pull off the win this on Sunday, they still need to kick Canada out. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how the game goes. If Canada does the right thing and get it going, then that's the reason to keep him. If he calls a good game, we got to start thinking about, is Canada smarter than we thought? That would be what we got to talk about. But I'm not expecting it. I'm not Michael Scott. I'm not Michael Scott. Number one boss, baby. Love that. Nick, mediocre playoffs is the problem. True. We got to get better. Caleb, do you think the Steelers will sneak in the playoffs? At the beginning of the season, yes. Now I'm not sure. Unless there's a big change, we get Cam back, we get Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson's a big reason why this offense doesn't move. I'm telling you, you guys are going to think that Canada's a genius if Deontay Johnson steps on the field because we're going to move the football. Guy is always open. Cody Andrew, isn't Leftwich available? Yes, he is. And that is a guy I would take right now as an interim head coach. Sullivan as well. We bring in Sullivan or promote him as interim head coach. Demote Canada to quarterbacks coach. Bring in Leftwich as an offensive advisor. That's a way to do it. But honestly, I'm sick of promoting from within. I think that Khan and Weidel need to go out there and find the right guy this offseason to make Kenny better, this team better, because right now we are horrible. Horrible. Phil, we aren't ever going to fire from within again after Canada if he ever leaves. Well, this is last season. So Nick Gomez, yet even if he calls a few good games, doesn't mean those really bad games don't matter. It doesn't. But I'm saying he's going to look like a different offensive coordinator with Deontay Johnson stepping on the field. Debbie, hi, love your show. Oh, Debbie, thank you so much. I love it. You guys are the reason why I do it. I'm glad you enjoyed as much as I enjoyed doing it. And it's a fun way to at least talk and have a conversation each week. Juan Sizemore, good to see you again. Juan, not sold on Pickett, even though Canada is a big problem. Yeah, true. Ian, I think part of Najee's problem is the O-line, not opening up enough holes for him to run through. Najee had a great game last year. It was his best game last week. Best game last week. Got to build on it. Guys, it's about all the time we got. I've got Ike Taylor here over my shoulder. You see this? Ike Taylor's joining us at the Terrible Tailgate this Sunday, 3 hours before game time. He will be there signing autographs. I'm taking this jersey with me to get signed. Come over and see me. Meet me in real life, guys. Say hi. Love to hang out and talk with you guys. Love meeting you guys in real life. Don't ever be afraid to walk up to me. I'm an idiot that just loves Steelers, love talking Steelers, and I would love to talk it with you guys. So please come over to the Terrible Tailgate, Lot 5A, which is caddy corner from the closest corner of PNC Park to Acrisure Stadium. And our Terrible Tailgate starts right on that corner. We have music. We have prizes. We have raffles. All you can drink. We've got food, and it's $50. So come on over, get hammered. We got the beer bong. You do beer bongs with Kevin and Justin. Have a great time. Awesome time. I don't do beer bongs. I'm a marathon guy. I'm not a speed guy. I'm afraid to do drink fast. Can't even do the shotgunning. I suck at that too. But that's the way to do it, guys. Come on over, see me at the Terrible Tailgate. And that's something for us all to do and have some fun. Wish I was going this week. Yeah, I hear you there, Nick. I wish you were too. Elizabeth, should they recruit Big Ben? I don't think so. I don't think he'd help us at all. Too much of a big personality. We have to move on from him. He's a Hall of Famer. He just needs to get on with his life's work like we should. Cool. Thanks, Ian. You have a good night as well. Guys, everybody, thank you very much for joining me for Strikers Inside Slant. I'm your host, Steeler Nation Striker. Follow me at SN Striker. You see it down here in my bug at SN Striker on the X, on the Twitters, on the Instagrams, which we're hosting here as well. Guys, follow me too on Instagram and on Facebook. Nah, I'm not on Facebook. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, I'm on those three. So guys, check it out over there. And that's what do. Debbie, I'm going to go to you since you showed me some love. I will answer your question last before I jump off. What happened to defense on Sunday? We expected more out of TJ and Highsmith. I have no idea why they're running way past the quarterback this past game, not containing because he's a mobile quarterback. Made zero sense. It looked like Jarvis Jones out there on bookends running up the field. I did not like it at all. I don't know what they were thinking. They usually put their feet in the ground and knock the tackles to next Tuesday before going in and killing the quarterback. They did not do it at all last week. That needs to be better and get cleaned up this week for Lamar Jackson. Otherwise, he's going to run all over us. But defense needs to contain Lamar, shut down the run. If we can do that, force him to pass, we win the game. That is the blueprint to beat Lamar, and we started that blueprint 3 years ago. Other teams are figuring it out. So thank you, Debbie. Thank you, everybody, guys. I'm Steeler Nation Striker from the Strikers Inside Slant. I will be back every Tuesday night on YouTube, of course, is what we shoot this thing out on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. It's Thursday night or Tuesday nights, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. See us again for the next Striker Inside Slant. And I will be rooting along with you as always, and with Debbie Dickerson. Go Steelers!